What's up, Internet? This is the Too Long Didn't Read from my new book, Uncertainty: How the Latest Science and Technology Confirm the Bible is True. This first story is called I Doubt, Therefore I Am. In this story, we introduce the scientific method by Rene Descartes. It's the cornerstone of Western philosophy. It's the paper that gives us the famous phrase, I think, therefore I am. Now, most people think that I think, therefore I am means that my thoughts prove that I exist. But if you read the paper more carefully, he means my thoughts are the only thing I can prove really exists. Instead of fighting a skeptical nature, Descartes chose to embrace it. He would forget everything he knew and use a skeptical method to slowly build up his confidence in the truth. He defined 4 precepts that would govern his re-education. You can pause and read those now. Here's the short version. I've always been a science nerd, so Rene Descartes' scientific method paper is really important to me. I attended both NASA space camps as a little kid. I got a computer science degree from Duke University and was one of the first people to work on the mobile internet for Verizon back in 2001. And this eventually led me to opportunities where I could spend all my time on scientific research. Once I owned all my time, I was free to invest more heavily into my own scientific research. Some of my biggest research goals were to find my own answers to the question, is there a God, and why are we here? And what most people don't know about Rene Descartes' scientific method paper is that he uses the scientific method to prove the existence of God in that exact same paper. It's just a couple of pages after his 4 precepts. So the more I read Descartes, the more insightful his scientific evidence for God became. But Descartes lived in an age before electricity, clean water, satellites, and electron microscopes. So how could I trust his medieval science? So for the last 10 years, I've invested 4 to 8 hours every single day to learn the latest research from the world's smartest nerds to prove Rene Descartes right or wrong. My areas of research included quantum mechanics, physics, astronomy, geology, economics, anthropology, archaeology, anatomy, computer science, behavioral economics, neuroscience, chemistry, psychology, biology, genetics, and the history of most civilizations. So this book is the story of that research odyssey. I read approximately 30 million words of science and distilled them into 150,000 so that you can know everything I learned in about 15 hours. I present all my favorite theories, data points, and experimental evidence from the world's greatest scientists who have all our best answers. Don't worry, you don't need a scientific background to understand this book. I will explain all the science along the way. I've also embedded links to other books and YouTube videos for topics you might want to deep dive, so click on the links and see what all these great scientists have to say for yourself. Okay, so eventually my research into uncertainty led me past the edges of science. I studied Cold War experiments on ESP and the paranormal. I read scientific evidence of exorcisms, telepathy, clairvoyance, and metal bending telekinesis. I practiced Eastern medicine like pranayama yoga, tai chi, and qigong. I trained as a blind rolfer several hours every single day for years. I watched the U.S. military's evidence of UFOs, which only led to more questions and more books. This research took me to places I never would have imagined when I started. Literally. To understand civilization more fully, my family rented apartments or houses in 200 cities in 45 countries. We've lived in most of the world's advanced economies. Our family of 7 lived on the road 100 nights a year for more than a decade. And those cities were just base camps for exploring whole regions by van and train and boat. The biggest surprise in all my research was the Bible. If you believe in the Bible, then you believe in aliens because angels are extraterrestrials. They are not from this earth. So the Bible has aliens, giants, fire-breathing dragons, teleportation, magical healing, people who fly like Superman, zombies, virgin birth, clairvoyance, and telepathic communications. Now, churches tend to avoid the craziest topics in the Bible by cherry-picking a few hundred words each week from about 750,000. So we will examine scientific evidence for all the craziest topics in the Bible in chapter 8. Things like that. We end this story with a few more quotes from a Rene Descartes scientific method paper. We look at his argument for why he might be living in a dream or a simulated reality. You can learn about simulation theory. We also hear his argument for why he isn't God, which I think is best summed up in the 1993 movie Rudy. Rudy is full of doubt about getting into Notre Dame to play football, so he visits his priest to ask if there's anything else the priest can do to get him accepted. And the priest responds, "Son, in 35 years of religious study, I've only come up with two hard, incontrovertible facts. There is a God, and I'm not him." You can watch that on YouTube. Up next, are we living in a computer simulation? In this story, we answer this question using Simulation Theory by Nick Bostrom. We also look at some simple examples of how artificial intelligence works, the mathematics of uncertainty, and why machines need digital faith to make their decisions. At Christians, we really need your support. Fundamental Frequency is a 501c3 nonprofit ministry dedicated to spreading the good news of Jesus to academics, scholars, and scientists because they have a tremendous influence on all our worldviews. Their opinions directly influence our children's education, the media, national policy, and budgets for future scientific research. So please consider investing some of your tithe this year into our mission of eradicating the false doctrine of Darwinian evolution. You can use this QR code to donate in one click. All your gifts are tax deductible. You can also help us by sharing this story with your friends on TikTok, Twitter, Threads, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, WeChat, Weibo, and QZone. See you next time.